Welcome back. Tommy Maroon Sports Show, episode number 251. I got a volleyball game later tonight on WHBW where the Highland Hornets are playing the Roosevelt Rough Riders. You'll probably know what the final score of that game is, which is why I'm wearing this polo shirt today. But anyways, enough of that. More on the Cleveland Guardians because that season's winding down, unfortunately. But what's not unfortunate is that guys like Stephen Kwan are leading the charge. Heading into the second game against Kansas City, they had 628 runs, 1,089 hits, 211 doubles, 160 long balls, 591 RBIs, 128 swipes, a 239 average, and a 707 on-base percentage. Let's look at the series recaps. First things first, the Guardians against the Pirates. And what was a fun match between two teams going in opposite directions. Really one team that's looking to get something cooking as they are basically all said and done. The other team is looking pretty good. That's the Guardians. And they won the series 2-1. Josh Naylor 3 for 5, 4 RBIs in game 1. How about that? How about John Kenzie Noel with a 2-run shot in game 1? Emmanuel Clase gave up a home run in the first game, but have no fear. He still got the save. His 40th on the season. He's still doing incredible. In the second game, the Guardians only got a measly 2 hits. Yikes. And both were by Josh and Bo Naylor. And then Isaiah Kiner for Wafa and Brian Reynolds got the only hits for Pittsburgh in this game you're looking at right now, Game 3. And Kyle Manzardo, who got called back up in Game 3, had not one, but 2 hits. What were they? They were home runs, of course. Kyle Manzardo, 2 home run day. How about that? And then there was the Guardians at the Royals, a critical series. And the Guardians won it, even though they lost the all-time season series this year, 8-5. But that doesn't matter because they won the series 2-1. So that's important. What's also important is that Lane Thomas hit a home run in Game 1. Emmanuel Clase had his 41st save in Game 2. Or Game 1, rather. Brian Rocchio had a home run in Game 2. And Stephen Kwan went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs in Game 2. And for Kansas City, the next game was all Royals as Tommy Pham hit a 3-run bomb for them. And Seth Lugo had 7 innings under his belt for the Royals. Things are looking pretty good for the Guardians, holding a nice little 4-game lead over the Twins and a 4.5-game lead over Kansas City for that division lead. Watch out for a team like Detroit. They're not shabby, aren't they? They're 70-70. They're starting to pick it up. I mean, it's obviously too little, too late by now, but still. And weekend series is going to be tough. It's against the Dodgers. Ooh, boy, that's not going to be fun. Dodgers are really good. It's going to be Matt Boyd and then Alex Cobb and then Gavin Williams for the Guardians. And then it's the White Sox, who are an incredible 32-109. Oh, my goodness. And they beat the crap out of the Orioles 8-1. The Orioles, the team that's winning the AL East. Oh, my God, I don't believe it. What I also don't believe is that Tommy's picks need to come back. Actually, I can believe that because it's always fun. Let's look at them, shall we? High school football. Well, that's for this week, so we'll get to the recap in just a bit. And I mean right now. Highland beat North Royalton 50-20. Olmsted Falls beat Brunswick by a score of 27-3. Nordonia down Berea Mid-Park 35-28. And Solon beat Strongsville 14-10. Benedictine took down Avon Lake, my upset of the week, 40-16. And Avon beat Cam McKinley 21-14, while Mentor took down St. Ignatius 20-14. And Lorraine beat Elyria by a score of 47-13. The Clearview Clippers beat the Lakewood Rangers 40-12. Midview shut out North Olmsted. I don't think North Olmsted scored a point at all this year. They lost 14-0. Westlake bounces back with a win over Rhodes 26-8. Mayfield beat Elyria Catholic 32-6. Or 32-26, I beg your pardon. Wake Catholic 33, CVCA Royals 7. NDCL Lions 49, Lakeside Dragons 14. And Massillon Perry down St. Vincent St. Mary 17-0. And VASJ beats Cardinal Mooney 38-7. Austintown Fitch, they got a good team. They beat the Massillon Jackson Polar Bears 27-17. I believe Massillon Jackson's 0-2. North Ridgeville beat Valley Forge, my walk of the week, 49-13. And Field beat Bay in a double overtime thriller, 24-17, while Rocky River beat John Marshall by a score of 42-14. Now for the FBS action, it looked a little like this. It had Georgia being the lights out of Clemson because Clemson is overrated, and so is Dabo Swinney, but I'm pretty sure we all know that by now. Dabo Swinney with a mediocre quarterback has very mediocre teams. Yeah, safe to say their reign of terror is over. 34-3 Dogs. And Ohio State unfortunately beat the Akron Zips. My dad's an Akron alum. That's why I was rooting for the Zips. And unfortunately it resulted in a blowout for Ohio State. 52-6. I mean, you always want to see the old guy win, don't you? And the old guy almost did win over number 4 Oregon, 24-14. Dylan Gabriel had a fantastic day. But still, the rest of his team did not. And my Notre Dame Fighting Irish squeak out a win at the 12th man. I'm not complaining. 23-13. Penn State Drew Auer had a good day. Drew Auer, of course, Medina grad, 34-12 win over West Virginia. Miami beat Florida 41-17. And Billy Napier's on his way out in Florida, isn't he? You know he is. That guy is not going to have a job soon. Oh, my goodness. The Gators have been terrible. They may go 1-11 according to a computer ranking, considering how rough their schedule is and how bad they are. Pitt beating Kent State 55-24, unfortunately. I just love to see the MAC schools win. Vandy won in overtime 34-27. And Syracuse beat Idaho 38-22. The UNLV Rebels beat Houston by a score 27-7. Nevada, how about the Wolfpack? They actually won a game, 28-26. And Georgia Tech beat Georgia State 35-12. They are 2-0 on the season. By the way, Ohio State was my lock of the week, hence the fact they're in all caps. And did I mention Kentucky beat Southern Miss 31-0? If not, they did. Arizona beat New Mexico in a high-scoring spit-swabbing showdown, 61-39. USC beat LSU, and Brian Kelly's real mad because he chokes. He chokes all the time. He choked for Notre Dame. He chokes for LSU. That guy can't escape it. And Florida State, what happened? Oh, my God. 28-13. I called it. I called the upset right here. 28-13. And high school football, 15-5, 17 points. I'm 30-10, 34 points. FBS, 11-5, 13 points. Now we can go to Tommy's Picks with D3 and NFL action, shall we? Yes, we shall. Yes, sir. There it is, folks. I may be biased as a Highland Hornet, but my lock of the week's got to go to those Highland Hornets. Brunswick is not looking good start off the season. They are 2-0, or 0-2. We're 2-0, and we should go 3-0 without any issues. Cleveland Heights against Hudson. I want Hudson to win. It helps out the Hornets, but Cleveland Heights is too good of a team. Got to go with the Cleveland Heights Tigers. Wadsworth against Medina. Going to go with the Wadsworth Grizzlies in what will be a good game. But once again, I want Medina to win because that helps out the Hornets. Division 2, Region 6 is really tight, featuring us, Wadsworth, Strongsville playing Bremen Mid-Park. Bremen Mid-Park will win. And Avon. Avon against Glenville, the Tar Blooders. Oh boy, they lost last week. Believe to Olentangy Liberty. Gotta go with the Eagles. They're home at Wahlberg Stadium. And Olmsted Falls against Canfield. Gotta go with the Bulldogs. Elyria against East. Gotta go with East. Nordonia against Mayfield. I am picking the Knights. They'll go to 3-0 start off the season. I think Chardon will also beat Avon Lake. Walsh against St. V. St. Anne. Two good schools, but I gotta go with Walsh. I think Auburn's gonna run up the score against Buckdale. That should be an easy game for them. They'll be 2-1 on the season after that. Massillon Jackson against Stowe. An upstart Stowe team that won big time against Barberton last week. 35-21. And I believe Massillon Jackson doesn't even have a win so far this season. So I'm going to go with the, who do you call them? Stone Monroe Falls Bulldogs. They will be 2-0 on, or 2-1 on the season rather. And then South Range against the Barberton Magics. Oh boy, Barberton's off to a really sluggish start this season, aren't they, folks? They are 0-2, and they did not look good in either game. I just can't see them going 0-3. Got to go with the Magics. Green against Talmadge, I'm picking Green. Twinsburg Copley, got to go with the Tigers. Norton off to a slow start too. I can't see them going 0-3, especially to a school like Firestone, giving me the Panthers. Ravenna against Revere. Revere going to be off to a 3-0 start. Oh my goodness, what world do we live in? I tell you what world we live in. A world where Revere's trying to prove they're trying to have something out there. I think they'll go 3-0. Paddle against Lutheran West, going with the Bruins. Midview will beat Elyria Catholic. They'll go 3-0. And North Ridgeville will also go to 3-0 with a win over North Royalton. D3 football. Woo boy. The biggest rivalry in D3 football in the 70s and 80s is back when our Yellow Jackets take on the Wimberg Tigers. And Coach Hilvert's got us in a battle. And he's going to lead us to victory in the war known as football. He is going to beat Wittenberg. I just have a good feeling about it, folks. Whitewater hosting John Carroll. Got to go with the Whitewater, I believe, Warhawks. Firm against Mount. That's a lock for, you guessed it, the Evil Empire. I think the Scots of Alma will beat River Falls. St. John's, who did not make the playoffs last year, oddly enough, playing Carthage. I'm playing St. John's. Ithaca against Johns Hopkins. I'm picking St. John's. I don't know if I said I'm playing St. John's. I apologize. And speaking of St. John's and the word John, the Blue Jays will beat Ithaca. And Carnegie Mellon, I got those Tardens being the Tomcats. And here's a bit of an upset. Denison traveling a long way to Winfield. That's on the West Coast. Not too many West Coast schools in the D3 world. I think the Big Red has this. Tonight, it's Heidelberg against Hiram in a Thursday night battle. Got to go with the Princes. Stout against Carroll, picking Wisconsin Stout. Waynesburg, the Yellow Jackets against Case Western Reserve. Got to go with the Spartans. Trine against Christopher Newport, going with Christopher Newport. Calvin against Oberlin, going Calvin. Wabash will beat St. Norbert. St. John Fisher will lose to Marietta. Ignore what that says, Worcester versus Marietta. It's Worcester versus Wilmington. And I think the Scots will win. Co versus Cornell, going with Co. And Ohio Wesleyan will beat Otterbein. Now, time for the second leg of Tommy's picks. FBS football and the NFL. Wow, the NFL is back. Northwestern will beat Duke at their cool new stadium. Temporary stadium, I must say. Michigan against Texas. They don't have their good pal Connor Stallions. Texas easily ran up the score against, I think, Colorado State. Michigan struggled to put Florida State away. I don't care if it's the big house or not. I think this is the most overhyped game of the entire week. I'm going with the Longhorns. Penn State will run it up against Bowling Green. Unfortunately, they're my lock of the week. Here's an upset. Tulane will beat Kansas State. Rutgers will beat Akron. Utah over Baylor. Iowa will beat Iowa State. And will probably be another low-scoring game with Kirk Ferentz and the punt. Kentucky against South Carolina. Got to go South Carolina. And Maryland against Michigan State, picking the Terps. And Navy will lose to Temple. Kansas, they're a good team. I think they'll beat Illinois. Air Force against San Jose State, excuse me. So used to the D3 schools and the high schools. Gonna go Air Force. NC State against Tennessee on neutral site. I believe that'll be at Bank of America Stadium. Gonna go Tennessee. And Nebraska will beat Colorado. I think Colorado's getting overhyped again. They almost lost to North Dakota State, for crying out loud. Oklahoma will beat Houston. Oregon against Boise. I can see Boise winning that game considering how poorly Oregon showed against Idaho. But I got to go with the Ducks. NFL. Chiefs against the Ravens. Chiefs usually struggle in the first week of the season. That game, of course, tonight. Got to go with the Ravens, as much as it pains for me to say. Eagles against the Packers in Brazil tomorrow night. Got to go with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Falcons against the Steelers. I believe that'll be Kirk Cousins' first game as quarterback for the Falcons. But I think Pittsburgh's going to win, as Russell Wilson will probably magically have some magic, as I said, and lead the Steelers to another winning record, unfortunately. Bills against Cardinals. Oh, come on. Bills are your lock of the week. They will easily dismantle the Cardinals. Bears will beat the Titans. Bengals. Joe Burrow is back. Will he be all right? I think he will. He's going up against a weak Patriots team. Got to go with the Bengals. Colts against Texans and C.J. Stroud. Got to go with Houston. C.J. Stroud's on my fantasy team, by the way. Dolphins will beat the Jags. Saints over the Panthers and Bryce Young. Giants, Vikings. An early season candidate for tank bowl, as Urinating Tree would say it best. Two teams are going to be going nowhere this season, going nowhere fast. Considering the fact that the Giants have no quarterback and the Vikings have no quarterback and the Giants have no talent and the Vikings have no talent. Well, outside Justin Jefferson, really, and I think T.J. Hawkinson's still with the Vikings. But who's going to throw the ball to them? J.J. McCarthy's done for the season. It's one thing to have good receivers. It's another thing if you don't have someone throwing the football to them. Got to go Giants. Chargers against the Raiders. I will pick the Los Angeles Chargers in Jim Harbaugh's first game as coach of L.A. Seattle also has a new coach. I think he'll pick up the win over Denver. I want the Browns to beat the Cowboys in Tom Brady's first game as an NFL commentator. And I'll be at the game working my guest services job. Gotta go Browns. I don't know why. I'm thinking it's going to be a win. They've won the last two Week 1 games. They really know how to pull off upsets early on in the season. I think they got it. I really do. They're my upset. Buccaneers against the Commies. Jalen Daniels in his NFL debut. Jalen Daniels is with Kansas. But yeah, the Buccaneers. Lions against the Rams. And what could be quite easily a preview of the playoffs. Got to go with Detroit at Ford Field. 49ers Jets. Is Aaron Rodgers coming back? We'll see. But what I do know is that the 49ers are going to run it up against the Jets. Oh, man. That's just what I think. And maybe I'll get them all right, but I doubt I'll get them all right, folks. But what I do know is that on the 12th will be my next episode, and then it'll be basically every Thursday around the same time for the time being. It's not going to be easy considering all things Highland and BW, and really BW, but still. Anyways, I'm Tommy Maroon. I thank you for watching Tommy Maroon Sports Show, episode number 251. Be sure to subscribe to WHBW because we got the Hornets playing Roosevelt tonight. We got Hornets playing the Devils in football tomorrow. The Yellow Jackets playing the Wittenberg Tigers, of course, Saturday. And also Saturday, the Yellow Jackets playing Muskingum at 4 in women's volleyball. So those are 4 games in 3 days, and maybe 5, because Highland's got Medina Saturday at 7. 5 games in 3 days. Am I up for it? You know I'm up for it. Tommy Maroon, thank you for watching. So on.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.